Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who's tuning in today is doing super fantastic. We have a very, 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 very special guest with us. Her name is Whitney. Oh my gosh. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, India.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
That is so good to hear. Thank you for being here with me so early on a Sunday morning, especially the top of the week. I'm sure we would love to be in bed, but hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. You know what I
We
mean?
gotta talk. We gotta talk about fashion. We do that
Exactly.
any day of the week.
Exactly. 24/7, 365, tall fashion, period.
Yes, ma'am.
So just take a moment to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I am Whitney Jennings. I am the founder and creative director of Whitney Allysyn, a tall women's wear collection. And we're based in New Jersey, just outside of New York City. And I am 5'9" tall, all arms and legs.
I felt the all arms and legs part. I'm not gonna lie to you. I always like to say that there's three reasons that people are tall: long neck, long torso, and long legs. And
Yes.
both of us with the long legs. So I want to hear about your experience as a tall girl, the good, the bad, the ugly. What was it like for you?
Well, I don't think I really realized I was tall until middle school when it was clear that I was taller than the boys and then taller than my mother. I was an athlete, I was a dancer, I was a gymnast.
Ooh.
And by the time I was 13, 14, I had to reevaluate my athletic career because as a gymnast, on the uneven parallel bars, they would raise them as high as they could go. They would widen them as wide as they could go. And my feet were still touching the floor and touching the sides of the bars. So I had to had to hang that up and find a new sport. But growing up tall it was always a fashion issue. My feet grew so fast, but I think by the time I was 12, I was wearing a size 11 shoe. So that was, a struggle trying to find shoes that were young looking, but in my size. So, the struggle started early.
I felt that. Also, it was just so interesting that you were saying that you were a gymnast because I don't know. I feel like that's like one of the very few sports that I feel like would actually have height caps. Um, I was watching a TV show. It's not a reality show. It's called Make It or Break It or whatever. And one of the gymnasts ended up actually because she got injured. And oh my gosh, let me know if you guys like know about that TV show. But one of the gymnasts, she ended up getting injured, so she had to take time off to rest and heal. And she ended up growing like 3 inches in the process. And that they had to change like her entire routine, her entire strategy in order to, because the whole point was to go to the Olympics. So the whole entire
Right.
strategy in order to get there. And I was that genuinely like made me wonder how tall do gymnasts have to be or how short do they have to be in order to succeed? But you know what? Every
I mean,
sport,
it's a short girl sport for sure. I think one of the taller gymnasts was like 5'6", and she was right, exactly. That's a tall gymnast.
oh, that
Yeah,
that is interesting. But it also makes sense what you said with the what did you say? The bars,
the uneven parallel bars.
yeah, the
Yeah,
uneven parallel bars and the other, I know they have like three other things, but that's not off the top of my head. Um,
yeah.
but
Vault bars, beam, and floor. Those were,
yeah,
and so vault was easy for me. Like you don't height doesn't matter with vault. Vault was fun. That was my favorite. But when it came to the bar, and then floor, of course, sky's the limit with floor.
yeah,
But the bars was
that's
they only make them so high and so wide.
that is interesting though. But I do want to ask, what was something involving your height? It could be a question, it could be a comment. What was something involving your height that you absolutely hated hearing?
Where's the flood? That was the
What?
number one thing. And middle school was a little bit traumatic in that sense because it was the 90s. We were wearing wide leg jeans, and my mother was not worried about length. She was like, if it fits at your waist and you can zip them up and you can button them up, those pants fit. So they were, a few inches higher than maybe they should have been, or, what it looked like on everybody else. But, it's always that one kid that shouldn't be making fun of anybody, asking where's the flood, and, poking fun at my short pants.
You know, I was gonna say that's a first, but I don't think that's a first because I think there was another one too. Because you were talking about the 90s, and I had another guest. Her name is Karina. She also experienced that too. That's
Yep.
it's because of you said that the pants were extra few inches shorter.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I
Yep.
get it now.
Yep.
And it always happens in middle school too. That's the other thing. It always
Yes.
happens in middle school.
But that's why so many people don't like middle school. They're like, I had much more fun in high school. I loved middle school, but with the exception of the, sometimes taunting, but um, that's probably why people hate middle school, because middle schoolers are mean.
They're actually ruthless at such a young age too. It's crazy.
I used to teach middle school math and science, and they're ruthless is the exact word.
Oh my
They're
God.
ruthless to each other, to teachers, they have
No chill, zero
no
chill.
chill.
So you did mention earlier in your introduction that you had a brand. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? Like, what is your mission? What do you sell? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So our mission at Whitney Allysyn is to help tall women dress the way they're meant to dress without compromise. So it's not a luxury for us to walk into a store and find pants that are long enough for us, or find blazers and tops that are long enough for our arms. And shorter people, average height people, I think, take that for granted, that they can just waltz into a store and pick up something real quick. It's not something they have to really plan for, but tall women have to think about that much more than I think the average height person does. So at Whitney Allysyn, we're trying to reduce that friction of shopping for clothes that are not only high quality, but have style in mind, have a lot of thought behind how we present ourselves, because we're not just like everybody else. Tall women are not like everybody else, and that's a great thing. So Whitney Allysyn hopes to be part of the space where tall women can be themselves without compromise and be able to enjoy who they are as they are.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. And I can't help but notice, like, are those like pictures at like some of your projects behind you? I see.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my working um mood board and sketchboard, and kind of where I put all the things together. And this is a good representation of the process of creating the collection.
That is so cool. And I also understand that one of the main themes of your business is like building that capsule wardrobe. Why do you think that that is important, especially for like tall people to have a capsule wardrobe? Like, can you talk also about how your brand approaches building a capsule wardrobe that, is sustainable, can last a long time, but also flatter, our tall body types?
Yeah, so my philosophy is that you really only need like 7 types of pieces in your wardrobe to create that capsule wardrobe that stands the test of time, and that you can mix and match and create, endless outfits with. And that's a blouse, a blazer, a bodysuit, pants, a dress, a skirt, and a jumpsuit. And I do put the bodysuit and the jumpsuit in kind of the extra category, but they just, I love one piece dressing. I love being able to just put on one piece of clothes, some shoes, and be out the door. So having that versatility, those options to be able to do that with these 7 pieces is really what it's what I've been curating for myself over the last, decade or so. And I've really found that it's helped me be more sustainable and not contributing to the problem that fashion has on the planet.
I feel like it's easy to kind of fall into the whole fast fashion type of situation, especially with like the rise of social media and seeing all of these trends, especially fashion trends.
Yep.
And, especially like as a tall person, it could be hard to follow those trends because, it's not easy for us to just walk into a store and just easily find a pair of pants or easily find a shirt. So that somehow gets us into this cycle of purchasing clothes, it doesn't fit, purchasing clothes again in hopes of it fitting, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And so not only is it a waste of money, it's also a waste of time.
Yeah.
And it hurts the environment too. So I think that it's great to hear that, you're helping tall women build a capsule wardrobe that will last them a long time and that will ultimately like help them in the long run.
And
And
it's the difference between, going into a fast fashion store and spending $100 versus, waiting maybe another month and saving up for 200 or $300 and then buying one solid piece that fits you properly and is going to last you way longer than any of those pieces that you bought, that haul that you got for $100. So it's a mindset shift that we kind of have to overcome in this fast fashion world.
yeah, and it also helps with decision fatigue as well because we can only make so many decisions in the day before we get burnt out. So having like a smaller wardrobe and just having to think less about, ooh, what should I wear today is also very helpful in our day to day.
Right.
I wanted to also ask, like, how does your brand embrace slow fashion principles while also catering to the needs of tall women? This could be like the manufacturing process, this could be the ideation, like how does that work?
So, aside from taking my time and researching and talking to tall women, like having actual conversations with tall women and really trying to understand their pain points, um, one of the things that's really important. So, as I'm developing these 7 pieces, I've developed 4 of them so far. And the idea is that with these 7 pieces, with these 4 pieces now, with the 7 pieces, eventually, I'm helping reduce the amount of resources that it takes to go to create these clothes by taking my patterns, changing the fabrication, and reusing the patterns year after year after year. Because it's also because the pieces are so classic, they're timeless. You can wear them today. You should be able to wear them in 10 years because they fit, because of the fit, because of the styling. The idea is that by changing the fabrication, it's almost like a new, completely new garment. This is not a new thing in fashion. It's not revolutionary. Brands do this all the time. One of the brands I look up to, Veronica Beard, um, they have their classic blazer. They change the fabric every single season and offer it. So, this is not a new idea, but it is a way to help women look polished, um, to be predictable, but also give them options year after year after year that they can rely on.
First, I would like to say that I also like, the fact that you actually conduct market research. I'm not saying that, brands don't do this because there are some that do, but I also
Mhm.
like especially like the bigger brands, they just don't really invest the time to actually sit down with their customers or sit down with their target audience and actually try to figure out their pain points in relation to their clothing. And I also wanted to ask like a follow-up. You said that you want to create 7 pieces, you only had four. What are the 7 pieces that you want to create, and which of those are the four that you currently have?
So the 7 pieces are the seven that I mentioned as far as building your capsule wardrobe. That's exactly what we're creating here. So right now we've created the blazer, which I wanted to make sure creating the blazer was probably the most difficult piece,
Really?
just because of the shape, the construction, getting the fit right. Blazers are not easy. So I wanted to get the hardest thing out of the way first. So we have the blazer, we have a pair of pants with an elastic drawstring waist. You know, coming out of the pandemic, women were just we were not ready for the tight clothes, and that still kind of holds true. We've come to value comfort over other things. You know, comfort has risen to the top of our list. Being chic, of course, being fabulous, being stylish, yes. But if it's not comfortable, you know, we only have one life. Why
Exactly.
why live uncomfortably?
Exactly.
And then our jumpsuit, and I wanted to offer the jumpsuit as one of the first pieces, just because jumpsuits are so hard to find for us. So I wanted women to have another option. Um, and then our skirt is developed. So you know we're taking pre-orders for the skirt in our vegan leather fabrication. Um, but then the next pieces would be our button-down blouse, which is nearly perfected. That's what I have on now.
Oh,
Um,
so cute.
and thanks. And then our dress would be next. Again, one piece dressing is so important to me to be able to just reach in your closet, put it on, be out the door. Because I am not a morning person. So the less I have to do in the morning,
Better.
the better.
Like,
And then finally, the bodysuit. The things that I've heard tall women have to do to make bodysuits work for them, the bodysuit struggle is not mine. I have a average height person's torso. You know, sitting. My mother was about 5'5", and sitting next to her, she was taller than me. But then when I stand up, my my leg took over, and I'm towering over her. But the things that women do to make bodysuits that they buy in stores fit them, I was shocked and appalled at them
what
with
was
their
the
sewing kits, adding fabric, adding hooks and eyes. Like, we should not have to live like that.
yeah,
So I am working on developing a bodysuit that accommodates a longer torso, and that's easy to put on and take off and use and wear, and is also fabulous.
that is amazing to hear, Whitney. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I do want to ask this final question of the episode, and that is, what is one piece of advice that you want to give to the tall girls who are listening right now, who are also struggling with their self-esteem because of their height?
I would say find your tribe. I think that was kind of my saving grace. Going finishing middle school and moving into high school. I think the first thing was I middle school to high school, I did not go to middle school and high school with the same people. I had to switch because of where we lived and this and that. And my parents are like, no, you're going to go to the high school that's across the street, where none of my middle school friends went.
Yeah,
So, that transition was hard. And then, not knowing anybody was difficult. Um, Being the tall girl at the back of the classroom who was just by herself for those first, few weeks of school was very difficult. But as soon as I started playing volleyball and met girls who were my height and taller, It's like, oh, I'm not the only one. Um, I think that's the hard thing to realize is that you're never the only one. It may feel like it sometimes, but once you find your tribe, um, that stick with them. And so even in adulthood, I've always, the older I get, I still gravitate toward taller women. I live in New Jersey, near New York. And over the last couple of years, I started a tall women's meetup group, and again, it's trying to cultivate a tribe and help tall women to come to give tall women a reason to come together, so that we can. I love just walking down the street, with a bunch of tall women, and the heads are turning. Yes, absolutely, we're tall and we're beautiful, and we can see over crowds and we can reach things up high. We don't have to ask for help. Like, that's empowering. So when you can do that in a pack, that's even more empowering.
It just
So
multiplies. It multiplies.
yes, yes. So I would say find your tribe for sure.
Thank you so, so much for that advice. Thank you so, so much for joining me today in this episode. Where can we find you? Where can we find your brand on the interweb? Like, where can we find you?
Yeah. So you can find us at our website, whitneyallysyn.com. That's Whitney, traditional spelling, Allysyn, ALLYSYN.com. My parents got a little creative with that one. Um, we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Whitney Allysyn, and also on Pinterest at Whitney Allysyn.
It'll be linked below so that it'll be easy for you guys to just click on and head on over there after this episode. And I'm just going to take a moment to shout out myself. You can find me at a Tall Girls Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. That's also the website. You can just do a quick Google search and I'm sure I will come up at some point. And thank you again so much, Whitney, for joining us today. It was honestly a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And thank you so much, audience, for tuning in. If you have any questions for us, have any questions for Whitney, make sure you hit us up. Like I said, all of our information is going to be linked below. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Good night and goodbye.